Being an Italian despot has its advantages. Money, power, women, or to use the popular hook from the Jay-Z DMX song, money, cash, hoes. With such, as the kids call it, drip, swag, and flex, one can also get a hyperinflated view of oneself and can lead to their demise. Galleazo Maria Sforza found this out the hard way in brutal fashion on December 26, 1476. What did he do in his drippiness to warrant such a fate? Well, let's talk about it. It's time for some iconic history.
It's time for Real History with Michael. Let's get into it.
Welcome back. Now, before we enumerate the man's numerous flaws, and there's a lot of those, let's talk about what his leadership abilities were, which were said to have been A1. And I'm not talking about the steak sauce or about that blonde guy from hip-hop Hollywood. He was said to be quite an effective leader, which we'd see again with the likes of the Medici brothers in Florence and Cesare Borgia in the Romagna. He was said to have been an art patron, an advocate for agriculture, transportation, and rice cultivation. He was also supportive of scholars, musicians, so much so that he was said to have had the best choirs, masses, and singers in his court in all of Italy. He also had the best poets, and himself, he was an author. He was the son of the illegitimate daughter of the former ruling Visconti family, and the son of the Duke of Milan, and upon his father's death took the title for himself in 1466, wherein he was popularly received and even co-ruled with his mom, Bianca Maria Visconti. So what happened to drive people to want to do him in? Well, he had a bit of a mean streak, legend tells us.
Okay.
Rumor, though unsubstantiated, was after he forced his mother from power and moved her to Cremona, he had her poisoned. Though the official story was that she suddenly took ill
Please.
and died in 1468. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Galleazo, though twice married, was a playboy and took several mistresses, and was also known to pass them off to friends when he grew bored with them. He seemed to have an affinity for men's wives and daughters, often forcing himself upon them and in so much cuckolding the noblemen, knowing that they'd be too afraid to challenge him.
Who gonna check me, boo? Not you!
He also seemingly reveled in executions, enjoying putting people to death in some of the most horrendous fashions known to man. He was known to have yanked the arms off an enemy from their socket with his bare hands. He had a man nailed to his own coffin while the man was still alive. He condemned a priest to death by starvation because he told the Duke his reign would be short, and guess what? He was right. And he also had a poacher executed by forcing him to swallow an entire hair, fur included. So despite all the economic good and culture he brought to the city of Milan, people began to grow tired of his excesses and his cruelty, and that there were three men who were going to fix this problem once and for all and end the Duke permanently. Who were these men? One was Galleazo Sforza, Carlo Visconti. There was Girolamo Ogliati and Giovanni Andrea Lampignani. But why did they want to kill him? Was it oppression of the people? Did the economy take a turn? No! It was all political, it was all personal. Of the three, Visconti had the most righteous of reasons. He believed the Duke took the virginity of one of the women in his house, and it was said that she was actually raped by the most illustrious Duke. Ogliati, for his part, was a Republican, and no, not the ones we see on Fox News, but one who believed in representative rule and not an autocratic despot, and saw that with killing Sforza, they returned to the Republic of Milan that they had for 3 years between 1447 and 1450, then called the Golden Ambrosian Republic. Finally, Lampignani was pissed at the Duke for not helping him in a land dispute that cost him a lot of money. So now that we have the players in motion, let's get to the murder. So the men followed his moves and gave recon on his schedule and decided that the day after Christmas, the feast of Saint Stefan at Santo Stefano was where and when it will go down. Oh yeah, dig it! Now, if you remember from my Patti Conspiracy video, I told you Renaissance Italians seem to like killing near or at churches, and this event was no exception. The men had the good sense to have 30 friends, however, back them up, which harkens to some Ides of March realness for a leader who went the way of Caligula. On December 26, 1476, it was showtime. The men waited for the Duke to enter the church for mass, and when he did, he was approached by Lampignani, who knelt before him and struck up some conversation. Then, quick as a flash, he whipped out a knife and plunged into the chest and then the groin of the Duke. Ogliati and Visconti, as well as the servant of Lampignani, all decided to get on the action and gave Sforza the business and killed him within seconds. After the deed was done, the killers, sans Lampignani, escaped. Lampignani got caught up in some church fabric, and a guard finished him off relatively quickly. And much like the Pazzi conspiracy 10 years later, where Jacopo de Pazzi had his body disrespected, and Milanese mob were hopping mad, and they let his corpse know what time it was. They dragged him through the streets, slashed and beat the body, then hung him upside down at his home, but they weren't done yet. They beheaded the corpse, cut him down the next day, and then cut off his right sinning hand and burned it. Initially, there was public support for Sforza's death, but it didn't make its way to the government, and soon the general population turned against the killers and wanted swift justice. Within days, the other men were caught, tortured, and interrogated. It was also uncovered that they may have had an outside benefactor, humanist Cola Montano, who bore a grudge against Sforza for a public whipping he had some time prior. It was also during this time that Ogliati said his now infamous line, Mors acerba, fama perpetua, stabit vectus memoria facti, or death is bitter, but glory is eternal, and the memory of my deed will endure. Which is not a lie since I'm talking about it, right? The murderers were killed and their bodies were publicly left on display to the tune of the hit Melissa Gorga song from the Housewives of New Jersey of the same name, on display, every single day. His son, Gian Galleazo, took over, but being 6 at the time, his wife, Bona Savoy, and counselor Chico Samonetta acted as regent until Ludovico the Moor, Galleazo's younger brother, finessed his way in and took power for himself. He had Samonetta tortured, imprisoned, and killed, and he stripped his nephew of his power by imprisoning him as well. He subsequently died at the age of 25, and rumor had it that his good old uncle had him poisoned. So, there it is. The event that was a blueprint for the Pazzi conspiracy and threw Milan into a tizzy instead of actually doing the great things that the men thought they were doing in their half-baked scheme. So what did you think? Did Galleazo Maria get what was coming to him? Sound off in the comments below. On display, every single day, on display. Till next time, friends. Hey friends, if you like what you just saw, please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. I thank all of you for taking the time to watch me, and I thank all of you for taking the time to listen to me, and hope to see you again in the future with our next video. Well, have a great day, and be a little, myconic! Drip, swag, and flex. One can also get the hyperinflated view of oneself, and it can lead to some drippiness to warrant such a fate. Let's talk about it. It's time for some my current. He was the son of People still began to grow tired of a despot, and saw that the killing of Sforza they could I didn't get back to my glasses. Have their backs, which harkens to some Milanese mob were hopping mad. I can't give it. A song from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Galleazo had his son,